Studio lights were bright, cameras rolling, and everything seemed routine until suddenly it wasn't. Mark Consuelos, known for his poise and charm, found himself at the center of a profoundly human moment that no script could have predicted. What began as another polished broadcast transformed into a deeply moving revelation, one that pulled back the curtain on a private struggle he had carried quietly for years. In front of millions of viewers, the weight of maintaining an image of confidence, composure, and strength finally surfaced. This wasn't about headlines or shocking announcements. It was about truth, vulnerability, and the humanity we often forget exists behind public personas. The pressure behind the smile. For years, Mark has been seen as the embodiment of confidence, a successful actor, television host, devoted husband, and loving father. Audiences see the humor, charisma, and ease he brings to every scene, but they rarely glimpse the hidden cost of sustaining that persona. Day after day, year after year, the effort to remain consistent, upbeat, and dependable silently accumulates. On this particular morning, the weight of expectation became impossible to mask. The smile that usually greeted colleagues and viewers felt thinner. The playful tone faltered, and his body language reflected exhaustion. In a career built on presence and energy, Mark's revelation was a reminder that even the strongest among us carry unseen burdens. A moment of vulnerability. The revelation wasn't a dramatic confession. It unfolded quietly, almost reluctantly. Mark spoke of pressure, the relentless expectation to always perform, always appear capable, and always manage everything without showing weakness. He described responsibility not only to his career, but to his family, colleagues, and the millions who watch him daily. As he spoke, his voice softened, his hands trembled slightly, and the weight of years of suppressed emotions became visible. At one point, he stopped entirely, letting the reality of the struggle wash over him. That pause, filled with quiet honesty, spoke louder than any carefully rehearsed statement ever could. Hidden struggles revealed. What shocked viewers wasn't that Mark struggled, it was that he had hidden it so well. His ability to balance career, family, and public expectations had masked a deeply human need for support and rest. He described days when energy was absent but performance was demanded. He smiled, laughed, and engaged even when drained because that's what his audience and the industry expected. The broadcast revealed that beneath the polish, there had been exhaustion, tension, and unspoken anxiety building for years. The audience, many of whom had assumed public figures were invincible, saw a relatable truth. Even the most composed individuals can be quietly struggling. The studio falls silent. As Mark spoke, the studio fell quiet. Co-hosts didn't rush to fill the space. The silence allowed the moment to breathe. It wasn't theatrical, it was human. Viewers could feel the weight of authenticity, the raw honesty of someone who had carried an immense burden alone for far too long. The absence of distraction, applause, or dramatic framing made the moment feel intimate, almost sacred. People watching recognized the fragility and beauty of vulnerability. It doesn't need embellishment. Sometimes, just being honest is enough to change a conversation, a perspective, or even a life. Public reaction and empathy. Almost immediately, social media erupted. Clips circulated with messages of support, empathy, and shared experience. Fans praised Mark not for perfection or strength, but for courage. Many wrote about their own struggles, noting how his openness made them feel less alone. Parents, professionals, and individuals juggling responsibilities saw themselves in him. His honesty mirrored the silent weight many carry daily, balancing obligations while hiding exhaustion or stress. The moment became more than a broadcast. It became a reflection of shared humanity, an acknowledgement that vulnerability is universal, regardless of fame or success. Behind the scenes, Insight friends and family later revealed that the moment had been building for some time. Subtle signs of fatigue, withdrawal, and energy shifts had been noticeable, though easy to overlook. Like many high-functioning individuals, Mark had learned to keep going even when running on empty. The broadcast simply made visible what those close to him had quietly observed. In doing so, it sparked conversations about burnout, mental health, and the importance of noticing the quiet signals in the people we care about. The human tendency to prioritize performance over wellness often hides these signals until they can no longer be ignored. Lessons on mental health. Mark's reflection highlighted the importance of mental health awareness. He spoke about the need to check in with oneself, to prioritize emotional well-being, and to unlearn the idea that endurance equates to health. By sharing personal experience, he encouraged viewers to recognize their own boundaries and to seek help without shame. The candid discussion resonated broadly, sparking conversations about therapy, self care, and emotional literacy. His transparency offered a blueprint for handling stress and vulnerability constructively, rather than suppressing it until it manifests in overwhelming ways. The ripple effect, Mark's broadcast had a ripple effect, inspiring others to speak openly about their experiences. Fans shared stories of quiet struggles, professional burnout, and family pressures. Men and women alike reflected on the pressures of hiding exhaustion behind smiles. The moment validated these experiences, offering reassurance that needing help is not failure. It also reinforced the idea that vulnerability fosters connection, empathy, and understanding across communities, whether in homes, workplaces, or online spaces. By showing his human side, Mark normalized conversations that too often remain taboo. The shift in relationships. Following the moment, interactions with colleagues and friends shifted. Messages of genuine concern replaced routine check-ins. Conversations became deeper, more honest, and more empathetic. Mark's family noted subtle changes, a willingness to pause, to prioritize well-being, and to listen to personal limits. These shifts underscored that vulnerability can strengthen relationships, creating an environment where care and support are reciprocal rather than performative. Authenticity fosters connection, and in Mark's case, it allowed the people around him to respond with compassion and understanding. Redefining public perception. The broadcast also reframed public perception of Mark. Fans admired not just his talent, but his courage and honesty. He showed that even those who appear confident and unshakable experience struggle. The revelation challenged the assumption that success shields from human hardship and encouraged viewers to approach both themselves and others with empathy. Mark became an example of how public figures can use influence to promote emotional honesty, demonstrating that authenticity resonates more deeply than perfection. Continuing the conversation. Importantly, Mark didn't let the moment end with a single emotional episode. He continued to speak about mental health, therapy, and self-awareness. He acknowledged that some days remain difficult, but now they are faced openly, not silently. This ongoing dialogue encouraged viewers to reassess their own assumptions about strength and vulnerability. By integrating his personal experience with broader lessons, Mark transformed a private struggle into a public conversation that champions wellness, honesty, and self-compassion. A breakthrough, not a breakdown. Ultimately, what unfolded live was not just a breakdown, it was a breakthrough. The mask of perfection slipped, revealing the human reality beneath. Mark's moment reminded everyone that acknowledging struggles, asking for support, and honoring one's own limits is not weakness. It is a form of courage and self-respect. For those watching, it became an invitation to be honest with themselves and others, to embrace vulnerability as an essential part of living fully and authentically. Lasting impact. As the cameras dimmed and the broadcast ended, the impact continued to ripple outward. Behind the scenes, the moment offered Mark relief, the kind that comes from no longer carrying burdens alone. Friends and family observed a noticeable shift in his presence, marked by openness, calm, and a renewed willingness to prioritize well-being. For viewers, his candidness became a touchstone for empathy, courage, and emotional honesty. What could have been a private struggle transformed into a public lesson on resilience, vulnerability, and the human experience. Conclusion. Mark Consuelos' live broadcast was more than an emotional moment. It was a turning point. By embracing vulnerability, he not only allowed himself to breathe, but also created a space for others to confront their own challenges. His story encourages a redefinition of strength, a recognition of shared humanity, and the importance of self-care in the midst of life's pressures. It demonstrates that authenticity, empathy, and courage can leave a lasting impact far greater than the facade of perfection. In revealing his truth, Mark reminded the world that the heart of strength often lies in the willingness to be seen as human. For more inspiring stories like this, subscribe to the channel and like this video. Stay connected, stay empathetic, and embrace the human side of every journey.